Hello, our friends, Evolutionary Energy Arts family.
Hello there, welcome back.
Welcome back, guys. We did a Patreon and YouTube member exclusive with some information that Cindy had picked up this morning from the guides as we have another small plane crash, this time with a lawmaker from North Dakota. There's a lot going on out there. How many data centers are being built? I put this to ChatGPT. It said there are 8,800 data centers globally today. Projections suggest the total could nearly triple by 2030. Wait a minute. We're, 1/3 of the way into 2026. So you're saying in like 4 years and, 8 months time or so, we're going to have it triple? That's a rush. Anyway, you look at it, that's that imagining speed. What could be driving that type of numbers? Roughly 15,000 to 25,000 total globally by 2030. Thousands of new builds are already planned underway. One company alone is planning 1,000 new micro data centers by 2030. Massive hyperscale campuses are popping up worldwide. Yeah, we have one, like 90 minutes away from us, something like that. The hyperscale data center, that's a term to be aware of. Hyperscale. There's one in Utah that's expected to generate and consume more power than the entire state of Utah. Yeah, it's nearing final approval. The Box Elder County Commission scheduled to vote Monday on the deal with Mr. Wonderful. Star investor Kevin O'Leary. Celebrity investor Kevin O'Leary plans to build a massive hyperscale data center project in Box Elder County, which state boosters say will fund modern buildings at Hill Air Force Base while generating all of its own power, cleaning the water it uses so it can be sent to the Great Salt Lake, and creating 2,000 high-paying jobs in the rural area. The board that oversees the state's Military Installation Development Authority, or MIDA, approved a series of resolutions Friday to move the multi-billion-dollar project forward, agreeing to move fast and charge far lower taxes than usual to help O'Leary lure the hyperscalers to Utah. There's only 5 hyperscalers in America, okay? So it's pretty easy to know who they're negotiating with. Paul Morris, MIDA's executive director, told the board Friday. You can look those up and you know who they're talking to. Amazon, Microsoft, Google are the country's top-tier hyperscalers, tech giants that run vast cloud computing networks. Analysts typically list Meta and Apple right behind them. The project is awaiting only final approval from Box Elder County Commission, which postponed a planned Friday afternoon meeting till Monday. The head developer of the project is O'Leary Digital, owned by O'Leary, a Canadian tycoon, one of the investors on the reality show Shark Tank, where his nickname is Mr. Wonderful. O'Leary also made his movie debut last year, co-starring with Timothy Chalamet and Marty Supreme. In February, O'Leary posted on Facebook, luckily in Utah, I found 3 senators and a governor, pro-business, pro-data centers, but the ball's back in their court now. We've announced that we need every incentive we can get out of that state because we have to raise billions to build this power and then data centers that come afterwards. He appeared by video at MIDA's Friday meeting where he marveled at the unbelievable speed at which Utah has moved. I heard about this opportunity just 5 months ago. No one has pulled this off this fast ever. The state gets it, the leadership gets it, the ability to execute like this is extraordinary. I feel like we've made it to the Super Bowl together. We haven't won the game yet, but we just got to execute. The project will be built on 40,000 acres in unincorporated Box Elder County, where every private landowner has agreed to the use of their land. I wonder how many private landowners there are there. And on an additional 1,200 acres that includes section of the Utah Test and Training Range, which is a Department of Defense site, and property owned by the Utah Trust Lands Administration, as you see it here north of the Great Salt Lake. MIDA projects must include military land in addition to the UTTR, all of Hill Air Force Base, its Falcon Hill Research Park, 27 Utah National Guard properties across the state will be associated. Morris explains, which gives MIDA board members flexibility in how to use their funds they will receive from development, including the state trust lands allows the state to also receive a share of the revenues. MIDA can offer tax incentives to developers so as they build in a project area, they can claim decades-long rebates to property taxes assessed on the increased value they're creating. MIDA can also set special tax levies to raise funds and issue bonds. Box Elder County Commissioners, who said at Wednesday meeting that they had first heard of the proposal a few weeks ago, had been scheduled to give the project the last approval it needs at a meeting on Friday, but late Friday afternoon the meeting was rescheduled for 10 a.m. Monday. Commissioner Tyler Vincent said Wednesday when he first heard Morris make his pitch for the project, I felt like I was drinking out of a fire hose and trying to digest all of this so quickly. Vincent said Wednesday the commission had wanted to hear from residents about the proposed data center project before approving it and have the county's lawyers read through the proposed agreement with MIDA. We don't just want to jump into something and down the road have it come back to bite us. The MIDA project area has been dubbed Stratos, a Greek word for an army or an armed force. But in presentations in February, according to the web publication Data Center Dynamics, O'Leary gave it another name, Wonder Valley, a name taken from a similar project O'Leary Digital has underway in Alberta, Canada. O'Leary told MIDA board the project is a way to compete with China on the technology front. China built 400 gigawatts of new power over the last 24 months, and much of it is powering AI data centers. We're in a race with them, so we seem to have gone to sleep nationally about this, and it's a bad situation. We have to fix it. Utah is not the only competitor on this race. There's other campuses, and we got tenants knocking on our door. MIDA usually imposes a 6% energy tax on its developments, Morris told the board, but to stay competitive with others trying to land deals with the same companies, Morris had asked board members to approve a sharp reduction rate for the project's data centers. The board agreed to sell it at 0.5%. We want to make sure we don't strangle the goose that lays the golden egg. Even at the reduced tax rate, the scale of the project means it will generate significant revenue, bring in an estimated $30 million a year for Box Elder County in the initial phase, and more than $100 million annually once it reaches full capacity. I want you to know we're taking care of Box Elder County in this relationship, he said. The first phase is expected to require about 3 gigawatts of power, nearly matching Utah's average statewide electricity use of roughly 4 gigawatts, he noted. At full build-out, the campus would reach 9 gigawatts, more than double the state's total energy consumption. The development agreement MIDA approved on Friday allows O'Leary Digital to make a deal with Tallgrass Energy for natural gas utility service through a connection to the Ruby pipeline. The 680-mile interstate natural gas pipeline crosses northern Utah through Box Elder County on its route from Wyoming through Nevada to Oregon. Wednesday, Morris said that 100% of the power will be generated off the Ruby pipeline while explaining the project to the county commissioners. It will not take one electron from the grid. In fact, they believe it will eventually have excess power that will be able to put back into the grid. The project will also create 2,000 permanent jobs after construction work is done in Box Elder County. The agreement has also cuts a deal on property taxes for energy generation facilities and data centers. Instead of a standard certificate of occupancy, which would normally trigger property taxes, the project will use a letter of completion that sets a flat 1.2% tax on site's value. From there, the tax is further reduced. Developer is credited back enough to bring it in line with Box Elder County's normal property tax rate, which Morris said is 0.926% of the tax revenue collected at that rate. 80% will be directed to O'Leary Digital, Morris said. Morris said MIDA negotiated with leadership of House and Senate, the Governor's Office of Economic Opportunity and Developer, and we concluded that we need to give 80% back to development so they can lure the hyperscalers to come. The remaining 20% will be split between the state and MIDA. Once the project is at 9 gigawatts, MIDA will receive about $49 million a year to use for military purposes. MIDA's usual share of the tax on increased property values, 75%, can be applied to other non-data center development on the site. From its share, MIDA decides how much the rebate to a developer, rebate to a developer as an incentive. Personal property taxes will also be rebated for data centers. They would not get any hyperscalers to come if you try to do the personal property tax on the equipment. So, here you go. What do you think of all this?
Oh my gosh. What can you say? What can you say? It's just, full speed ahead. And, with the excuse of if we don't build it, China will, and the excuse of, well, we're already behind, so let's just plow forward and never mind what other people think, never mind what it does to the environment, never mind what problems it will cause. Just China's doing it, and we need to be ahead of them. This AI is it's not good. I feel this is going to lead us into a place that we don't want to be. But again, what do? You kind of have to look at it, accept it, and then go and do what you can for yourself in this time, because no amount of kicking, screaming, even it looks like even if you were to call your local officials, it's just not going to matter. Money talks, and it's what you do with the money. Are you going to help people? Are you going to make the world a better place with your money, or are you going to take the money and are you going to destroy Mother Earth with it? Or are you going to take it and you're just going to hoard it all for yourself and then, watch everyone else struggle? I think it's blaringly obvious with the amount of resources that it takes. What about all the humans that are currently alive right now? I don't think they could make a statement any louder than this is going to take up all the resources. What are humans going to do? What are humans going to do?
Yeah, and the water usage, again, the amount of water that these things use, here they're saying they're going to use a system that's not going to use as much water, but it's been shown that these things use massive amounts of water. We've gotten from the guides, again, in case you don't know or you're checking out our channel for one of the first times, Cindy can channel and does channel, and we've channeled hundreds of messages, if not more, from our guides, which is a wide and varied set of beings. Again, what humans don't understand is that telepathy is the normal way of communication throughout the universe. This is stuff that's been hidden from us by the dark control system. And the reason, again, why you've had fluoride in your water is to impede that telepathy and your natural, what you would call paranormal or supernormal abilities. What they're doing now at a hyper scale is trying to create a grid work that's going to be disruptive of the natural flow of things. We are awakening. We are awakening, and we're understanding that the system that's in effect is so disharmonious. Everything about this system is cancerous. It's literally toxic. It's toxic to the environment. It's toxic to us. Why do we go forward with this if it's so toxic? There's only one reason. The only one thing that makes sense is that the beings that are controlling this system are not really from here. And number one, they're not really from here. They don't depend on this planet for their survival, or our section of this planet for their survival. And they don't care if they ruin it. And they're all just about leeching, taking, utilizing all the natural resources, which includes us, from this planet and this area that we live in. When you look at the data centers, they're so damaging. Again, you have legislation that's been put into effect that is hindering farmers from growing food. Food should be one of the main things that we're focused on, good, healthy food. Again, when you look to Amazon, Microsoft, these big companies that are driving this, they are way above the law. They are more powerful than any of the countries when you get down to it. They are more of the true system, the true control system. They're more representative of the real government, which has been, governing from the shadows. One single data center can use millions of gallons of water a day just to stay cool. That's coming from our local supply. They talked about putting water back into the aquifer, but in what condition is that water going to be? Is it going to be more toxic in some way, shape, or form? That's the question to ask. And again, when they say, well, this has been safe, it's ridiculous to worry about. They told us it's ridiculous to worry about putting your cell phone up to your head. We know that's dangerous. People still do it. One thing after another, I was thinking maybe I'll come up with 100 conspiracies proved true, because it won't be hard to find that. It's a reality. What are they doing here, like Cindy's hinting about? Ultimately, I think what they're looking at is a world in alignment with the Georgia Guidestones, which blew up. Again, far less humans, much more technology. Do they want to replace humans with drones and robots? Maybe that is the next step. This is an innovation. This is part of the control grid. Water drain, land takeover, absolute energy hogs, noise pollution, all sorts of toxins. What's it for? It's ultimately for AI surveillance and control. This is how you control the masses as they awaken. Listen to the words, again, that come from the WEF itself, because they've told us everything.
When we talk about capital, we tend to think only about financial capital, about cash, financial assets, but we know that's not the only value on which our economies depend. We know that every aspect of every part of the economy is fundamentally dependent on nature, as you highlighted. The air that we breathe, the water we drink, the soil, the oceans that we need for the food that we need to consume, the minerals that we need as inputs to technology and to infrastructure. And without these forms of value, these forms of natural capital, we won't have economies. They are the fundamental building blocks of our economies. But the ways, as you said, the ways in which we have grown our economies, our models of economic development, have been incredibly successful for global prosperity. But the unintended consequences of current models of growth are simply not sustainable on a finite planet.
So what she's saying, and I speed her up because it was 3 minutes, is basically water, soil, and oxygen should not be infinitely accessible. They're assets. The basic building blocks of life and supporting life, in other words, need to be controlled by, the system, is what they're saying. It's not satire. No, they want to charge you for breathing. Literally. That's their perfect world, is when, they leech off and they, want to charge us for breathing. I thought this was really curious. This is one section of NASA where all the cars look like they're pre-computer. Why would they have a parking lot full of low-tech cars? Are they expecting, the grid to go down? The grid will go down. The Polish psychic has seen that in some of his visions. Again, Tarot by Isabella, who is another gifted psychic, she was seeing that too, and we've gotten messages. The grid is going to go down at periods of time. There are times when they're going to cause it to go down. There are times when nature might cause it. Ultimately, nature, Mother Earth, is going to give us the ultimate reset, and that will include moving these entities away from us, these dark parasitic ticks and leeches on society. Here is another one that said, Again, they try to ouch the world. They didn't get everybody ouched. But maybe they will understand water if they don't understand climate change. This is literally what this person says.
And globally, did we solve that? Like, did we actually manage to vaccinate everyone in the world? No. So highlighting water as a global commons and what it means to work together and see it both out of that kind of global commons perspective, but also the self-interest perspective, because it does have that parallel. It's not only important, but it's also important because we haven't managed to solve those problems which had similar attributes. And water is something that people understand. Climate change is a bit abstract. Some people understand it really well. Some understand it a bit. Some just don't understand it. Water, every kid knows how important it is to have water. When you're playing football and you're thirsty, you need water. So there's also something about really getting citizen engagement around this and really, in some ways, experimenting with this notion of the common good. Can we actually deliver this time in ways that we have failed miserably?
So, again, these data centers are going to use up so much water, they're going to cause a natural absence in some areas. I do not believe that the deserts that we see around the globe were naturally caused. I really don't believe so. Because as we become more aware, we understand that there's massive technology. It's more than just CERN. It's more than HARP. There's a lot of technology out there that's been in use to control and manipulate our weather patterns, but causing a shortage of water, charging us for, we already pay for water. We get a water bill. I mean, I'm sure you guys get a water bill too. We're the only beings that pay for water. No animals pay for water. And the water naturally would be pure if it wasn't for the toxicity of the system, which again is a cancer. We have to remove the cancer. The cancer is the governments, and government, literally, break it down, govern, to control, means mind. Governments are here to control your mind. That's really their whole purpose. RFK Jr. says EMF radiation is proven to be dangerous, warns that the new data centers across the country could pose health risks. I've litigated on this issue. We produced over 10,000 studies for the Court of Appeals. There's a range of injuries which are very well documented. There are grave neurological injuries, there are cancer risks, and also risks of making the blood-brain barrier permeable. The risks to me are horrendous. We can better inform the American public. Yeah, again, we see it, but it doesn't stop because the real government, the shadow government, is pushing this. And none of these guys, no Congress can stop them. No, not unless the entire world stands up, or the majority of us stand up and refuse to go along. Did you know that there's a patent here? They patented remote control of your body. Rockefeller University patent US 1078657B2. Inject ferritin nanoparticles, again, attached to cell membranes like a tiny antennas. Then a phone wearable or tower blasts 465 kilohertz radio waves, and your own cells literally heat up. Massive hormone dumps. Again, this is all just for entertainment purposes, but there's so many patents out there. And again, chat will tell you, well, just because something's patented doesn't mean that it ever came into use. That's true. A lot of patents are made so things don't get ever built. That's been done constantly. Could it be that there's something to this, that what they're trying to do is literally override your ability to control your own body?
Well, you got to kind of look at where all the arrows are pointing and make up your own mind. And I think, it just brings more importance to what you do put in your body right now and how that could affect you in the future. Are you making yourself a human antenna, taking in foods that, have the nanu in them? We just really have to sit and think about things for a minute now.
Absolutely. You know, if one form of possession doesn't work, they will try another. I know it's a lot. Grab hands with your buddies, your best friends, and we have to stand together.
Indeed.
Thank you guys so much for your support. We couldn't do it without you guys. Much love. Look forward to your comments. Source bless and namaste.
Namaste.